Anastasia lived in a village, nestled at the edge of the Whispering Woods, a place both enchanting and, some said, a little dangerous. The villagers warned against venturing too far in, whispering tales of mischievous sprites and hulking beasts that guarded secrets best left undisturbed. But Anastasia, with her heart full of sunshine and pockets full of berries, wasn't one for heeding warnings. The woods called to her, a siren song of rustling leaves and hidden glades. One crisp autumn afternoon, while gathering fallen acorns for her grandmother's winter stew, Anastasia found herself deeper within the Whispering Woods than she'd ever been before. The air grew still, the sunlight dappled, casting long, dancing shadows that played tricks on the eye. She noticed a winding path, barely discernible beneath a carpet of fallen leaves, and curiosity, that ever-present companion, tugged her forward. The path led her to a clearing, and in the center stood a cottage, built of sturdy timber and roofed with moss-covered stones. Smoke curled invitingly from the chimney, promising warmth and respite. Anastasia hesitated. This was farther than she'd ever wandered, and the cottage seemed out of place, somehow. But the scent of wood smoke and the growing chill in the air spurred her forward. She knocked timidly on the door. Silence. She knocked again, louder this time. Still, no answer. Taking a deep breath, Anastasia pushed the door open. It creaked inward, revealing a single room bathed in the warm glow of a crackling fire. On a large oak table were 3 bowls of porridge, steaming gently. One was enormous, another medium-sized, and the last, tiny and delicate. Driven by hunger, Anastasia tasted the first bowl. It was far too hot. She tried the second. It was far too cold. But when she tasted the third, the tiny bowl, it was just right, and she ate it all up. Feeling slightly guilty but undeniably satisfied, she looked around for somewhere to rest. 3 chairs stood near the fireplace. The first was huge and imposing, covered in rough, scratchy fur. Anastasia sat in it, but it was far too hard. The second chair was smaller, upholstered in soft velvet, but it was far too soft, and she sank right through the cushion. The third chair was a little wooden stool, perfectly sized for her. She sat down, and it was just right. But with a final creak, the little stool collapsed beneath her, scattering splinters across the floor. Tired and a little embarrassed, Anastasia climbed the winding staircase that led to the upper floor. There, she found a room with 3 beds, each covered in a thick patchwork quilt. The first bed was gigantic and piled high with furs. Anastasia climbed in, but it was far too hard. The second bed was smaller, with a soft, downy mattress, but it was far too soft, and she sank into it like quicksand. The third bed was a small, simple cot with a straw-filled mattress. She climbed in, and it was just right. Soon, lulled by the warmth of the cottage and the exhaustion of her long walk, Anastasia fell fast asleep. Meanwhile, the owners of the cottage were returning from their own foraging in the woods. They were 3 bears: Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear. Papa Bear was a gruff and imposing creature with thick fur and a booming voice. Mama Bear was gentle and kind, with soft fur and a comforting presence. And Baby Bear, the smallest of the 3, was playful and curious, with bright, inquisitive eyes. As they entered their cottage, Papa Bear sniffed the air. "Someone has been eating my porridge," he roared in his gruff voice. Mama Bear looked at her own bowl. "Someone has been eating my porridge too," she said in her gentle voice. Baby Bear squeaked in alarm. "Someone has been eating my porridge and has eaten it all up." They turned to the chairs. "Someone has been sitting in my chair," Papa Bear bellowed. "Someone has been sitting in my chair too," Mama Bear murmured. Baby Bear, near tears, cried, "Someone has been sitting in my chair and has broken it all to pieces." With growing suspicion, the 3 bears crept upstairs. Papa Bear stomped into the bedroom. "Someone has been lying in my bed," he roared. Mama Bear peered at her bed. "Someone has been lying in my bed too," she said softly. Baby Bear, his eyes wide, squeaked, "Someone is lying in my bed, and she's still there." Anastasia woke with a start. 3 pairs of eyes were staring down at her. Papa Bear was the most terrifying sight she had ever seen. Mama Bear looked stern, and Baby Bear was trembling with excitement and a little fear. Anastasia sat up, her heart pounding. I'm so sorry, she stammered, her voice trembling. I was lost and hungry, and I didn't mean to intrude. I'll leave right away. She scrambled out of Baby Bear's bed, but before she could flee, Mama Bear stepped forward. Wait, child, you look exhausted. Tell us, how did you come to be so deep in the Whispering Woods? Anastasia, tears welling up in her eyes, recounted her story, explaining how she'd been gathering acorns, had gotten lost, and found the cottage. She confessed to eating the porridge and breaking the stool, apologizing profusely. Papa Bear grumbled, but Mama Bear's gentle eyes softened. She saw the sincerity in Anastasia's face and the genuine regret in her voice. It's all right, child, Mama Bear said, touching Anastasia's arm with a soft paw. We understand, everyone makes mistakes. Baby Bear, emboldened by his mother's kindness, piped up. Maybe she can help me fix my chair. Papa Bear, seeing the relieved expression on Mama Bear and the hopeful look on Baby Bear, finally relented. He let out a sigh that sounded more like a rumble than a roar. Fine, he said, but she'll have to earn her keep. She can help us around the cottage. And so, Anastasia stayed with the three bears. She learned to gather berries and mushrooms under Mama Bear's watchful eye, helped Papa Bear chop wood for the fire, and repaired Baby Bear's broken stool with surprising skill. She learned the language of the forest, understanding the rustling of the leaves and the songs of the birds. Days turned into weeks, and Anastasia found herself feeling happier than she ever had before. The bears, too, grew fond of her. Papa Bear, though still gruff, would secretly leave her the best berries he found. Mama Bear taught her the secret recipes for her delicious forest pies, and Baby Bear became her inseparable companion, always eager to play hide-and-seek amongst the towering trees. One day, as Anastasia was helping Mama Bear bake an acorn pie, she felt a pang of longing for her family and the village she had left behind. She confessed her feelings to Mama Bear, her voice filled with sorrow. Mama Bear listened patiently, then said, "It is time for you to return home, child. Your family must be worried sick. But remember what you have learned here, and carry the wisdom of the forest in your heart." The bears helped Anastasia pack a basket filled with berries, nuts, and a slice of Mama Bear's famous acorn pie. Papa Bear even carved her a small wooden bear to remind her of them. As Anastasia stood at the edge of the clearing, ready to depart, Baby Bear rushed towards her, tears streaming down his furry cheeks. He hugged her tightly, burying his face in her skirt. "Promise you'll come back and visit?" he sobbed. Anastasia hugged him back just as tightly. "I promise," she said, her own eyes filling with tears. "I'll never forget you." Anastasia returned to her village, a changed girl. She told her family of her adventures in the Whispering Woods, and though they were wary at first, they soon saw the joy in her eyes and the wisdom she had gained. She brought back gifts of berries and nuts, and the small wooden bear became her most treasured possession. She often visited the Whispering Woods, always leaving a small offering of berries and acorns at the edge of the clearing. Sometimes, she would catch a glimpse of Papa Bear's large form disappearing into the trees, or hear the playful squeals of Baby Bear hidden amongst the leaves. And though she eventually grew old and gray, Anastasia never forgot the three bears of the forest. She told their story to her children and grandchildren, reminding them that even the wildest of creatures and the deepest of woods can hold kindness and friendship if only you are brave enough to seek it out. And so, the tale of Anastasia and the three bears became a beloved legend in the village, a reminder of the magic that could be found just beyond the edge of the Whispering Woods, waiting for a kind heart and an open mind.